Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're doing great and that your week is off to a fabulous start. In today's video, I'm going to be turning this pair of pant legs that remained from my DIY button-up skirt video, and I'm going to be showing you how to turn them into a beautiful embellished bag. Just look at her. She's everything you'd want in a bag. Pretty to look at, but also quite practical in that you can fit your entire life baggage into this baby. And if that doesn't sell you on this, I do not know what will. Anyway, without any further ado, let's get right into this video. First things first, I'm going to measure 40 centimeters from the original hem of the jeans. This is going to be the length of my bag. Being the indecisive girl I am, I decided to add an inch to this measurement. That way I'd have some seam allowance and the bag would still be 40 centimeters. So I just went in with my ruler and a piece of chalk, drew a straight line and cut off the excess bit of fabric. I then took this pant leg, put it on top of the other one. That way I'd have two identical pieces, and I just repeated the same exact thing, cut off the excess fabric, and now we have the base of our bag. Make sure you keep those excess bits of fabric though. You are going to need them for the strap, so don't throw them away just yet. And now all I'm doing is I'm flipping my legs so that it's easier for me to cut and easier for you to see. And as you can see, I'm pointing to that bulky seam that's on the inside. I wanted to get rid of it because I did not want it in my final bag. It's definitely optional, but I decided I did not want her. She was not welcome, and I just got rid of her. I repeated this for the other pant leg as well, and now I'm going to flip my pieces so that they're the right side up. I wanted to maintain the hem of the jeans as the top of my bag, so I made sure to do so, and all I'm doing is I'm making sure the right sides of both fabrics are kissing, and I'm just aligning everything. That way everything is nice and aligned, and then I'm going in with my ruler and my piece of chalk and drawing a shape around the edges. This will just make it easier for me to draw in a straight line, to sew in a straight line, not draw, and it just makes your work a whole lot easier. So now I'm just going to do a straight stitch all along the line I just drew, and I decided to do a continuous seam. It's totally optional. You can do separate seams, continuous, but I definitely recommend the continuity because it will help your seam just be strong and sturdy. So when I got to the corners, I just lifted my presser foot, turned my fabric around, put the presser foot down and continued sewing. And when I got to the bulky bits, I just made sure to slow down the speed of my machine. That way I wouldn't break my needle. I also made sure to backstitch this point a couple of times. That way my bag would be nice and strong and wouldn't spill my stuff out when I was out and about. So I just made sure to go back in. That way that stitch was pretty secure. And after that was done, I switched back to my regular speed and continued sewing. And as you can see, when I got to finishing my stitch, I backstitched a couple of times just for that extra security I was talking about. Now moving on to cutting off the excess fabric from the bag. As you can see, I'm just cutting beside the line I drew, and this just makes sure your bag is nice and even on the inside. That way there's no funny fabrics on the inside. So I do advise to get rid of all the excess fabric. And now all I'm doing is I'm poking at the corners of my bag. This is totally optional, but I do advise you do this because it makes your base have a shape. She looks good. So as you can see me do, I'm poking at the corner, measuring 5 centimeters from the edge, drawing a straight line using my ruler and piece of chalk, and I'm just going to pin that in place. That way I can sew across that straight line. This will just enable your base to stand, as you will see in the next clip. So after both corners are sewn, I just did a basic straight stitch. I'm going to turn this the right way out. That way you guys can see what I was talking about. I decided to use a ruler to completely poke out the corners. That way they'd be nice and outside and nothing was left inside the bag. So yeah. So as you can see, after that's done, that's the base I was talking about. It gives some structure to your bag, and I really think it adds this beautiful detail to the bag. And after that was done, it's now time to make slits for the drawstring. So all I'm doing is I'm measuring 3 centimeters from the bottom of the hem. This is where I'm going to draw a straight line using my ruler. And after that straight line is drawn, just along that straight line, I'm going to measure 3 centimeters from each point. So the points are going to be 3 centimeters apart, and you can make it bigger, you can make it smaller if you want. It's totally up to you. I made sure to do this all around the bag, and I just went in with my pair of scissors and cut along those 3 centimeter marks. After that was done, we had tiny slits, and this is where you're going to pass your drawstring through. I got this pretty string off AliExpress. I will link it down below in case you want to get it. And all I'm doing to thread my bag, I'm just taking the string up and down. So as you can see, I'm taking it in through one slit and then bringing it out through the next slit. So you're just going to repeat this all around the entire perimeter of your bag. Take your time with this, there's no rush. Just make sure she's nice and threaded. This is going to be the drawstring of your bag. So after a few minutes, I was almost done. I'm just doing the same thing up and down until you get to the final slit. When I got to the last slit, I just made sure to bring out my tassel rope through the same slit. I started threading my bag. That way it would be so much easier to close my bag once I needed to do so. As you can see, that's what you're working with at this point, and now it's time to bedazzle your bag. My favorite bit in this entire video, to be honest. So to bedazzle her, I used some rhinestones I got off AliExpress. I will link them down below as well. And this jewelry sticker that I got from the bookshop. So yeah, I'm just going to place them in any random pattern. Just go wild with this. Decorate it however you want it. It's your bag, baby, and you're allowed to customize it however you love. So I just randomly putting the bits of jewelry stickers just to add a different detail other than the rhinestones. And when I was done with that, I just went in with some fabric glue and stuck my rhinestones onto my bag. This did take quite some time as I was working with a lot of rhinestones. So just make sure you have some podcast playing or some music because you're going to be here for a while. But it's bedazzling. I promise you, it's super, super fun to do. When my last rhinestone was in place, look at that beauty. She looks gorgeous. So in love with the bag. So now remember the excess bits of fabric from earlier. We're going to make our straps from that. And I'm just measuring 6 centimeters and then 12 centimeters. That way I get 2 6 centimeter straps as you're about to see. So I just cut along the lines to get my 2 bits of fabric. And I repeated this on both excess bits of fabric. Now you have 2 bits and now you're going to open them up. I decided to get rid of the bulky seam because I did not want it in my final strap. So I just got rid of her. She was cancelled. Her contract had ended. Therefore, she had to be terminated. So as you can see, I am making sure every bulky seam is gotten rid of. I just found it easier to attach a strap without seams in between. And as you can see me do, I'm just going to join the tiny pieces of fabric together to form one very long strap. So I just did a straight stitch across the points I needed to join my pieces together. I made sure to backstitch a couple of times, and once that was done, I had this beautiful long strap. So now to make the strap, I decided to fold in one edge. I folded the next edge, they met in the middle, and then I folded those pieces to meet in the middle to form one big strap. So I know it seems a bit confusing, but just look at what I'm doing. I'm folding in one edge, then the next, meet in the middle, and then folding them together to make one strap. So what this does, it will make sure your strap is quite sturdy and quite thick, which is something you really need, especially because this bag carries a lot. You need a very, very sturdy strap. You do not need something flimsy because that will cave and your bag will be on the floor, which is something I'm sure you don't need. So all I did is I sewed a straight stitch along one edge of my strap to close her up and make sure she was ready for duty. She was ready to do her job and she was not going to disappoint me. After that was done, as you can see, we have quite a thick and sturdy strap, which is exactly the look we were going for. And my strap was quite long because I joined a lot of pieces of fabric together. And now for the final bit, you're going to join your strap to your bag. And to do this, I decided to just pin the strap in place behind the seam on the inside of the bag. So after I pinned it to the position I was comfortable with, I just hand sewed this onto my bag because it was too bulky to go through my machine. And after that was done, you were done with your very own DIY drawstring bag. How fabulous does this look? And it was super easy to do, and it's such a good way to use excess fabric that remained from you making shorts or a skirt from a pair of jeans. I really love how this turned out, and this bag is quite spacious. I was able to fit 3 books, a pair of jeans, my dignity all into this bag without it bulging out too much, and I think that's quite impressive. Of course, if you want a wider bag, just make sure your pant legs are quite wide and you're going to be sorted. The more space, the better, because bigger is always better. Am I right? Anyway, guys, that's it from me today. Thank you so much for watching. You guys are the absolute best, and I've loved hanging out with you guys today. Just let me know how many bags you're going to be making. I recommend about 50 in each color, because there's no such thing as having too many bags. If someone ever tells you you have too many bags, cut them off ASAP, because you do not need that kind of negativity in your life. Anyway, see you guys next time. Bye.